Hello, everyone. Roomies and roommates. What is it? Roomies
Roommate,
and
roommate.
roommates. Yeah. I'm Lindsay. That is Maria, and we are old college roommates.
It's true.
And yeah, and I have a degree in film, and Maria has been a movie critic for the past 20 years, and we
Yeah.
are roomies review the movies. And we are reviewing Death by Temptation this week. This is a movie that Maria has not seen. I haven't
I
seen
hadn't
it
even heard of this movie before.
really. I've ran into a lot of people that have not heard about this movie,
Yeah.
which is wild because I remember watching it as a kid. So, but I probably haven't watched it since I was a kid. Matter
Oh.
of fact, I'm sure I haven't watched it since I was a
So
kid.
you watched it again?
Yeah, yeah.
Okay.
I end up watching it a couple more times. So Um, it's totally different from what I remember, but but it was still fun nonetheless. So
Okay.
yeah, so let's jump into it. So we have a we have an opening scene where we have this bartender, which if anybody remembers a little movie called The Five Heartbeats, he was Flash in The Five Heartbeats. So he's the bartender in this movie, and he's on the phone with presumably a lady that is married, and he's
No,
talking
no,
about.
no, no. That's the second lady. He's on the phone with the first lady who's apparently pregnant. And he's like,
Oh,
well, I don't, he
yeah,
says, why can't you just get an abortion? I don't see what the big deal is. And he said,
yeah,
yeah, just send me the bill and I'll send you the check in the mail.
yeah. I forgot about that part. Yeah,
And I
yeah,
was like, oh, I hope he dies first.
yeah, yeah. That was pretty bad. Well, I mean, it's just painting the picture on how much of a sleaze this guy is.
Mhm.
So yeah, so he has a lady that is with child that apparently he didn't want. Then he gets on the phone with the second lady who is married, and he's talking about a fantasy that he has with her
He
being
wants
home
to
alone,
wear
and he
her
wants to
her
wear her
husband's clothes.
clothes.
What?
So, yeah. And so yeah, so he ends that call, and then there is a young lady at the end of the bar, and she asks for a drink, and then hits on him, and so it worked because he men are easy. So
And especially this guy, he's just very full of himself.
yes, oh yeah, some one too many people told him his hair was good, so
Yeah.
so yeah, so she takes him home. They are getting hot and heavy. They go into the shower, and then next thing
But
you
so
know,
she will not let him kiss her. She won't
yeah,
let him kiss her at all.
but
Um,
they were kissing in the shower.
Only then, but before it's like they're like just kind of he's trying to kiss her for like a good 5 minutes and
Yeah,
she
yeah,
won't let
yeah.
him.
Right, right. But they're getting real hot and heavy, and then they get
Yeah,
into that
yeah. She
shower.
gets his belt and ties it around his neck and everything.
Yeah, yeah. Like it. She was on one. Yeah, she was
Yeah.
definitely on one. And so they yeah, so they get into the shower, and they're kissing, and then next thing you know, it looks like he's trying to pull away from her, and then the shower starts the water starts coming out red. And so then once he gets away from her, we realize that he was trying to pull away from her, and he runs out of the house, or tries to run out of the house, but he runs out of the bathroom and out of the rooms completely butt naked, full frontal, and
Full
all.
frontal.
Yeah. And so he's trying to run from her, but he couldn't get out of the apartment. The door was locked and he couldn't unlock it. And so she catches him at the door. And then the next thing you know, we see a bunch of blood coming from up under the door. and the door is rattling and we hear him screaming. So yeah, that was the first kill. So um then we shoot to a scene that shows Samuel L. Jackson, which is so funny because when the movie first came out, the big star was Kadeem Hardison.
Yeah, 100%.
Yes.
Yeah,
So now with the movie being resurfaced, because it's on a lot of streaming platforms right now.
yeah.
And with the movie being resurfaced, they put down Samuel L. Jackson as if he is like one of the
The
stars.
lead,
Yeah.
right?
So it's so funny how it's being rebranded now. But I mean, but it didn't make sense from a marketing standpoint. But
Yeah, I mean, and because Kadeem Hardison, of course, was in A Different World,
right,
super, super popular and everything. Like,
right,
I wanted those Dwayne Wade glasses so bad. You could flip up
yeah,
the lenses and the shades and everything. Just like,
yeah,
yeah,
yes, they were
wonderful.
iconic,
Yes,
iconic. So yeah, so we shoot to a scene that has Samuel L. Jackson in it, and he's preaching to an empty church. The only person that's in the church is his young son, and then this lady pops up with all black on with a black veil, and Samuel L. Jackson's character, which is the preacher, excuse me, he is seeing this because this
yeah,
lady is like coming behind this young kid, which is the preacher's son, and grabbing him, having
yeah.
some
She
type of
puts her
hold.
hands on her shoulders.
Yeah. And so with that or whatnot, he it's implied that this is like a devil trying to grab a hold of his son. So he sends his son off to live with the son's grandparents.
In North
So
Carolina.
in North Carolina, right? So with the kid there, the preacher and the preacher's wife was in a car, and they see this same person that was grabbing a hold of their son in the middle of the street. Well, the preacher continues to drive, going towards the lady, and the preacher's wife is like, "That's a lady in the street. What are you doing? You're gonna hit her." And so they start fighting over the wheel, and they end up wrecking, killing both of them in the wreck. So yeah, so then we cut to another scene where we see the preacher in a casket, and the same lady that's in the all black with the black veil. She puts a black rose on the preacher's body in the casket, and then she leaves the church. So from that point on, the preacher's son is with the grandma, and he's pretty much walking in his father's footsteps. So then we ended up cutting to him being an adult.
Well,
And
also, it seems like he and his grandmother share dreams. They have some kind of connection.
yeah, yeah, it's like it seemed to me like the son's name is Joel, and it seems to me like he's having these dreams, and it's like a premonition for the grandma,
Mhm.
but it's the same thing. Like what they're seeing is the same thing,
Right.
and it's just like different cut scenes of this lady that keeps popping up, that's in the all black with the black veil. They're seeing her in different type of scenes and stuff like that. And I feel like the grandma knew it was something,
Mm.
but Joel didn't know what it was. But he kept waking up in these cold sweats and whatnot because he just don't know what's going on. So he feels like he needs a break because he's going into seminary school. So he feels like he needs a break. So he's hitting up his brother that lives
Right.
in New York.
He wants to see what this life thing is about.
Right. And that is played by Kadeem Hardison. His name was
Okay.
K, right. I was gonna say J.
And
So
it
yeah.
took like 30 minutes into the movie before he showed up.
Yeah. 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 It takes a minute. It takes a minute. So he's like, Kay is like this big shot in New York. He's done these movies and stuff like
Mm-hmm.
that.
He's
So
done sequels. Like
yeah, yeah, like he's a big deal.
he's like an
And
action star, I guess, right?
mhm, yeah, and he's from North Carolina as well, but he didn't made it in the big city now. So Joel hits him up or whatever, lets him know like I need a break. I need to come visit. And so he's like, yeah, come on up.
I'm just thinking about Kay's apartment because like he's been in all these movies and whatnot, and he
Uh-huh.
absolutely lives in a studio.
I chopped that up to it being New York, and hey, he lives by himself in New York.
I
So
guess.
yeah. So I gave him a pass. Now, if he was like in another city, living in the studio, then I'll be like, okay, now he's showboating and he really ain't living that life. But New York, yeah, I'll give it to him because New York's rent is astronomical. So
It is, it is. But I was like, man, you can't
yeah,
get a wall?
yeah, right. At least one,
Yeah.
so yeah, so Joel gone ahead. He goes on ahead and packs up and for his vacation to New York. Now, the day that he's coming to New York, Kay finds himself at the bar. And at the bar, he is completely love struck at first sight by this lady that's sitting at the end of the bar.
Yeah, this mystery lady who's always at the bar, and she's the hottest lady there. She's got these long gold fingernails and everything.
Yes, yes. Which back then was a big deal. People weren't really wearing long nails like that back then.
Not that long, yeah.
Yeah. Um, so she peeps him, even though there is another man that's trying to, seduce her or whatever. She blows that man off, and then she goes and sits in a booth, and Kay comes and sits with her, and they are really just love struck. And the lady she is she's credited as temptress.
Yeah, that makes sense.
So,
I
yeah.
mean, because before she meets Kay, we see her with another guy, Norman.
Oh,
And
yeah. Okay, so yeah, the Norman character. So this is a guy who comes to the bar, his first time coming into the bar, and as soon as he comes through the threshold, he takes his ring off. And so he goes and he hits on Temptress, and he ends up going home with her.
he asks her, like, he asked her, like, do you want to, he offers to get her some champagne, right?
Hmm.
And the type of bar they're in, I'm like, they do not have any champagne. This is not that kind of bar,
Right,
you know.
right.
And she's so funny to me because she starts going up this list of like expensive champagnes. Well, do
Hmm.
you have this? Do you have good and well they do not have that
No, they
champagne,
don't have
girl.
it. Right. They don't have it. Like, come on. You're here every night. so yeah. They have their rapport or whatever, and then he ends up going home with her. And when he goes home with her, they're getting hot and heavy in the bed and whatnot. And then she breaks out a feather.
A peacock feather.
Yeah. And she's doing all kinds of things with the
I
feather.
mean, he's just losing it.
Yeah, like
I'm
he
like,
don't
wow.
know. This is the best he's ever had
I mean, just the most amazing peacock feather you ever experienced.
Yeah. So I don't know what them peacock feathers is about, but apparently it's a good thing.
Yeah.
But yeah. And so then next thing you know, the feather turns into a knife. And so she is like rubbing him down with the knife. Then
And we
she
get
cuts
an
him.
extreme close up on his nipple.
Yes, yes.
I
And
was
then
like, was that necessary?
I mean, I don't know if it was necessarily necessary.
For it to be that close,
Right. Yeah, I mean, there's a few things in this movie that wasn't necessary.
Yeah.
So,
They make
yeah.
a lot of choices in this movie, which honestly are really great for the most part. No, it was just like, I don't know why I had to be so close.
Right. So yeah, so we have that, and then she cuts him. She cuts him with a knife. And then the next thing you know, we have a scene where he wakes up. Now I was surprised he even woke up, but
Me too.
yeah, so he
I was
woke
like,
up.
oh, Norman made it.
Right, and so yeah, so he woke up, and he's putting on his clothes or whatnot, and he goes over to the mirror, and he sees all these cuts and scratches, and then we see the deep scratches in his back. Like, these are not normal scratches. These
No.
are like a werewolf scratched the hell out of his back.
Yeah.
And so he's like, "What the hell did you do to me?" And so,
I can't hold on to my wife like this.
right. And she was like, "Yeah, your wife." And she started laughing and smoking her cigarette and was like, "I gave you something that you can't get rid of."
Right.
And he was like, "Well, you don't look like you got
You
something." Now, mind you, this is in 1990, the height
right. It
of
was released in
HIV.
1990, but it's probably filmed in 1989, which is even.
Right, right. But remember, well, mind you, this is the height of the HIV/AIDS epidemic. So the fact
Mhm.
that he is saying, like, this conversation is going on, it's a parallel to the way
Mhm.
people thought about that. You know what I mean?
Oh
So it
yeah, I
was
was like,
just,
is this an AIDS allegory?
yeah,
Okay.
yeah. So it was just crazy. Like, just thinking about it in that mindset, it was
Mhm.
real crazy. So
Mhm.
um yeah, so anyway, we go yeah, so they go back and forth or whatever. So he was just like, I just thought I would do this one night, just cut ties
Men
and
get to do
go.
this. They get to walk away.
Right. They get to walk away. And yeah, he's not gonna be able to walk away.
Yeah. He's like
So
he thought it was his birthright as a man to be able to cheat on his wife and not feel anything of it and not have any consequences from it.
yeah, yeah. And he paid the ultimate
But
price.
it's not.
Yeah. Yeah, he paid the ultimate price. So,
Mhm.
moral of the story: don't cheat on your wife. So yeah, so he leaves, and he's because it's in the morning or whatever, and some of the light, some of the sunlight is seeping through or whatnot. By the time he reaches the door of the apartment building, he's all fucked up in the face, and like
Mhm.
all types of stuff is going on with his skin. So
Yeah,
yeah.
and I'm like, is she a succubus? Is she a vampire? Like, what is going on?
Mm. I took it as her being a vampire.
Mhm. Yeah,
So,
for me, I think it's probably more succubus
uh-huh.
because we never really see her like drinking blood. We just
Mm.
see her tearing them apart.
Well, that one time when the guy came over unannounced and she was on his back and she wouldn't let go,
Mhm.
I took that as her drinking his blood right then.
That was not what was happening.
You said absolutely not. So
No,
what do you think was happening?
she was pegging him.
You think that's what that was?
Yes,
I mean, I know he said take it out, but I mean, there was a lot of things you can say take it out.
and she's behind him, out of frame.
But her head was in his back.
So
That
what would she? What would be in where then? In
her
that
teeth.
position? No,
Her teeth. Okay.
no, that's not what was happening. It was,
Okay. All right. That's what happens when you go over people's house unannounced. I don't know.
yeah, out here pegging. Stay home.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. That was a scene. But anyway, so um, so yeah, so we have back to the scene with the temptress and Kay. Both of them were talking and whatnot, and she had invited him back to the house, and he was just like, "I wish I could, but my friend is coming in, and I gotta see him. I gotta get him. Whatever."
Well, first, what he says is my partner, and then
Yeah,
she gets really excited because her whole thing is like making people cheat, basically, or
yeah,
giving
yeah.
people an opportunity to cheat. Um,
Right.
but then he says my brother at the end,
Right,
of the
right.
scope that she's
Yeah, they
got.
kept on going back and forth on that. And I'm like, I hear brother one time, then I hear friend, and I hear partner. Like they say all kinds
Yeah,
of yeah. So
yeah,
I just
because I was wondering, I was like, are they brothers or cousins? You know,
right.
maybe because it seems that they share the same grandmother, but at some point it sounded like they weren't brothers, and I was
Mm-hmm.
confused.
Right, right. So yeah, we heard all kinds of things.
Yeah,
so so he didn't go back with her. So he ends up meeting Joel, and they have a conversation, kind of catching up and whatnot. And yeah, then the next day they go out, and Joel gives his opinion on what he's seen of New York so far.
I
And
really
then
like the scenes with Joel and Kay, and they have really good chemistry. I think they feel very, familial and everything. It does seem like they're kind of in a different movie than the Temptress is in when they have their scenes together. But I like both of them, so
hmm
I think
why do you say that?
because the beats are different, the mood is different, the way it's shot is different,
hmm
right? When we're with the Temptress, where it's a lot more smoky, kind of more abstract with the set presentation. Um, you have richer, deeper colors, that kind of thing. And then
hmm
and more dramatic music. And then when the brothers are together, it's much more naturalistic.
Okay. Okay. I can see where you're going with that. Um, I kind of like it that way
Oh no, I
because,
liked
like,
it, but I was just like,
yeah,
oh, this seems like two different movies, but I still like it.
right, right, because it's kind of like a representation of two different worlds.
Hmm.
You know what I mean? And especially because Joel comes from a whole different world.
Right,
You know?
right, right.
So it worked to their benefit. But but yeah, they so he's giving his opinion on New York and whatnot. And then they get on what they're gonna do that evening, and Kay had mentioned going to the bar and how he had met this lady that he is just smitten with. And he's describing her and whatnot. And then while he's describing her, we have cut scenes to the guy that showed up to her house uninvited. So she is like extremely rude to him, extremely rude, but he
Yeah,
still was trying to get
but
some.
he's fine with it. I guess he likes
Yeah,
that.
yeah, yeah. So I mean, for him to show up there unannounced, I'm assuming that they have done this before.
Right, maybe this is their thing, though.
Yeah, this was their thing, but she must have had normal sex with him because
At
he
some
was.
point.
Yeah, yeah, because like he wasn't like messed up or anything like that. You know what I
That's
mean?
true. That's true.
Yeah, yeah, and it must have been good enough for him to show up
To come back.
unannounced.
Right.
Yeah, yeah. But yeah, so while he's talking about this amazing chemistry that he has with Temptress, we have cut scenes of her being extremely rude to this man and then smashing him. And then, as you have pointed out, she may have been pegging him during this scene as well. And then
She
she
absolutely was.
yeah and then she kills him.
Well, we also, like you were saying, this is cut with the scene with Kay describing how he feels about meeting her in the bar to Joel. How she was, beautiful, but sweet and innocent, sexy, and all
Mhm.
this stuff. And so all the scenes we see are like making the opposite point of the things that
Right.
he's saying.
Right. They're showing completely different, um, a different side of her, if you will. Um, so yeah, it's a complete contrast to what he was describing. And and then she kills him. She tears the hell out of him. She puts those nails to work. And and sidebar, the blood in this movie is so red.
It's very, very bright. Like, It does not
Yeah.
look like blood at all.
No, 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 no. It looks like some ketchup with water in it.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, but anyway, so
And it's really dramatic because you have, these all white sheets. And so we see her
yeah,
tearing through him in shadow and like the blood going everywhere. There's lots of really cool stylistic, aesthetic choices and shots in this movie. Really
yeah,
great use of lighting.
right, right. And then they have the canopy over the bed as well. That's white as well. So makes it even more dramatic because the blood is getting splattered
Mhm.
all over it. So
I did think like who is going to clean that, like you
yeah,
know.
right.
But
Like how many times?
the next time we see her bedroom, it's all red,
You're
and
right.
I was like, oh, okay, smart. So,
Yeah, right. Right. But remember on the first kill, the apartment was all white.
mm.
All white with no furniture. So yeah. Yeah, it looked like
And that
it
wasn't a clue.
like
Like,
yeah, yeah. So yeah, so they get dressed. They have like a whole scene of them trying to pick out Joel's outfit to go to the bar or whatnot. And so when they go to the bar, the temptress is there, and she completely acts like she doesn't know who Kay is, and she is love struck for Joel, and Kay thinks it's a joke, but the
because
temptress
it's so
is
wild. It's so
right.
wild.
Right, because it's like, why would you pick him over me? And we just had this brilliant connection the other day. Like,
Yeah.
what are you doing?
But
So,
how are you acting like we don't even know each other?
right,
That we've
right,
never met? That we didn't trade phone numbers?
right. None of that. None of that existed. So, but yeah, but no, she goes for Joel, and her and Joel have an amazing time at the bar. And um yeah, Kay is like outdone. Like he don't know what the hell this was about. But he's extremely jealous, but he's trying to play like he's not, you
Mm.
know. So not only that, but another character that is part of the cast is Dougie. Dougie is played by, forgot his name, but he played Radio Raheem.
Oh yeah.
Let me pull it up. Bill Nunn. Yeah, it's played by Bill Nunn. Bill Nunn is that stereotypical guy at the bar that's lying to everyone. Oh, I'm an astronaut. Oh, I'm a doctor. Blah, blah,
I'm a
blah.
surgeon.
I'm a surgeon.
I do kung
You know,
fu and karate or whatever. Like, just
right,
tell them the
right, right.
worst lies.
The worst lies, the corniest lines. He's
Getting
that guy
drinks
at the
thrown on
bar.
him.
Yeah, yeah, all that. So he's that guy at the bar. So he walks up to Kay, and he's just like, "There's something weird with that girl. Like I don't know what's going on, but it's just so she's off." So um yeah. So then we have the next day where Temptress goes to Kay's apartment to pick up Joel, and she's still acting like she doesn't know him until Joel goes into the back. Then that's when she acts like she does know him.
Right.
After she's called a bitch and was asked like, "What the fuck are you trying to pull?" All this. And I'm like, dang, just because she was playing like she didn't know you, she had
She
to be a
wasn't
bitch.
playing. I mean, that was weird.
Yeah, like he snapped. He snapped. So
He's
yeah,
been gaslit
yeah,
real
yeah.
hard.
So in the middle of their back and forth, there's a mirror there. And Kay turns to the mirror and he realizes that he doesn't see the temptress's reflection. So then he turns back around and he's like looking at the mirror, looking at her, looking at the mirror, looking at her. and he is like losing it. And so then Joel comes back, and then like she turns back into the person that Joel knows,
Right.
and then they leave. But
I'm just
he
like, how can you let Joel leave with her?
right, right. That was my thing. Like, why did you let that slide? So
Be like, hey Joel, turn around. Don't you look so cute together in
right,
the mirror?
right. Make sure you look good before you leave the house. Something. But he was stuck. He was completely stuck. He didn't know which way was up at that point, which I get as well. Because it ain't every day you run into people that don't catch reflections. So I get
True,
it.
true.
So he jets over to the bar to talk to Dougie, and he's telling Dougie like, "Yo, this bitch is crazy. Like, this is what just happened. I don't know what is going on." And so that's when we find out that Dougie actually is an undercover cop. So all of this
He's
is a
FBI. It's all a cover. I was like, are you kidding
yeah,
me?
yeah,
This
yeah.
guy's been getting drinks thrown on him and all this stuff.
Right, right. So, which I mean, I get it. You got to play it off while you're there. So
No, he's been doing a great job.
he's been doing a fantastic job. So yeah, so excuse me. Yeah, so he starts telling him about this case of a person that had an encounter with her, and he said that he felt like it was like stuff in his stomach, moving all around and stuff. And before he uttered her name, snakes came out of his mouth.
Mm-hmm.
And so they tried to cover up this story, but then in the same breath, they had him on the case. And so the case led him to that bar. So he's been noticing that every time she goes home with somebody, they never return. So he's been watching her this whole time. And if you are putting two and two together that people never return, what are you waiting on?
I
Like,
guess evidence, I guess.
uh, I'm confused. Like, I would go get the evidence because how many people got to turn up dead? You know what I mean? So yeah, that was my confusion on that part. So, but yeah, so like he reveals all this to Kay and whatnot, and then they start to work together to try to figure this whole situation out. Meanwhile, while they're doing this, um, Temptress and Joel are on a coffee date, and they're talking and whatnot, and um, they're getting to know each other,
Yeah.
and
Well, but also before this, Joel and Kay had a conversation about Joel's morality and stances on premarital sex, and
yeah, and
Joel,
drinking.
right, and drinking and all that stuff. And Joel's very much, I don't drink, will not be having premarital sex. He stands firm on those.
Yes, yes, and yeah, and so they are having this conversation and whatnot, and she's trying to tempt him, and you can see it's kind of working, but not really. He's really trying to stand firm on his beliefs and whatnot, and so they ended up cutting the the coffee date short because Temptress she ended up getting a headache because Dougie and Kay are talking about her and they're getting close
Mm-hmm.
to understanding what's
So they're
going on.
talking to like some kind of spiritual medium or
Oh
something.
yes, yes, yes. So that's what it was. So yeah, they go to a spiritual medium that which is played by Melba Moore, and she is the one that's revealing who this is. And so with them starting to get this understanding of who she is, that's the reason why her head started hurting. She went to the bathroom, started
Mm-hmm.
screaming in the mirror and all this type of stuff. So she was like, "Oh, I gotta go home. We gotta cut this short." So Joel goes back to Kay's apartment. Um, Kay comes back to the apartment. Kay tells Joel, "Hey, this bitch is crazy. This is what's going on. I know you may think that I'm being jealous, but I'm really not. And you don't need to fool with her." Joel is like, "Yeah, no, I'm gonna still talk to her." So they have words back and forth. And Kay tells Joel, well, if you're going to continue to talk to her, you got to get out. Really hurt Joel's heart. He was crying,
Yeah.
sad.
But
So,
Kay is really clear that, you're in danger. This
yeah,
thing is coming for you. You need
yes,
to go back home,
yes,
right? Because
yes,
he's not necessarily like kicking him out of the apartment, but telling him to go home.
right, right. He literally said, go home.
And he called
So,
grandma and
he called
everything
his
and told her what
grandma.
was going
Right,
on.
right, right. You know it's bad when you tell on your grandma,
Mhm.
or you tell your grandma on you, rather. So, yeah. So he did that or whatever. And what does Joel do? Joel makes matters worse. He goes to the Temptress house.
Well, see, Joel, the whole for him, Joel's like, the whole point of me coming up here was to live life a little, and I know I'm sheltered, and I need to be able to make my own choices and be independent. And you're trying to tell me what to do all the time.
Right, right, right. So he's not going home. He went to Temptress house. And the Temptress tried to tempt him with a drink that she spiked with whatever. And so, he was stuttering, but nonetheless, he told her no, he didn't want to drink it. So, what does the Temptress do? She takes a sip and she kisses him. So, when she took the sip and kissed him, whatever was in that cup transferred to him,
Mm-hmm.
and he started feeling woozy and he passed out.
I don't know what could have been in that. I mean, that had to be the tiniest amount. Like, and she was gonna
Yeah,
give him a glass. Like, what?
right, right. And she only took a sip because I don't even think she swallowed it.
No, she only
Yeah,
took a sip. She did not swallow it. Yeah.
yeah. So yeah, it was barely anything, but it was strong enough to pass him out. So I don't know. Well, that happened. So all the while, uh they he Temptress ended up going back to the bar, and while she was at the bar, Dougie and Kay drove up to the bar, and the new bartender, he was throwing out trash, and so they told him to spike her drink with holy water.
Right.
And so he went in there and he did spike her drink with holy water, even though he was completely shook to do it.
And like so obvious. Like, you're so
Yeah. It
obvious.
was super obvious, but she took the drink. So she drank the spiked drink, and then she started having convulsions. And so they came in there, because basically what they were gonna do was gonna stab her in the heart and then do something with her heart. I think they was gonna go bury it in a shallow grave or something like that.
Yeah, it
Yeah.
was while they were at the spiritual lady's place, and uh, uh, Dougie was like, "Yeah, don't we have to like desecrate the body with holy water and to get it to rot, and then pull out the still beating heart, and while we take it to the graveyard, and then like just like
Yeah, yeah.
all
Like
these things."
all these graphic ways to kill this whatever she is. Like
Right. And Kay was like, "No, we don't have to
right,
do those things."
right. Like it was a lot. So so yeah, so she's like going through her convulsions and stuff, and then they come in, they have the knife, they got her down on the ground. Dougie got on top of her, and right when he was about to stab her, he paused. So there was some force that was stopping him from stabbing her. And so then the force turned the knife on him. So now he's fighting to not stab himself. So then Kadeem tried to help him, and ended up working. They ended up leaving. And so the convulsions eventually stopped or whatnot. So when they left, they started arguing on which way to go. And so they
Right.
was just like, you know what? Oh, because Kadeem's car got stolen.
Right.
So yeah, so they started arguing on which way to go. So then they was just like, you know what? I'll see you on the
I
other
see
side.
this guy. Right.
So
That's so funny.
yeah,
Right.
so they go
I'm not
back
even
to
gonna
the
argue with
car.
you. I'm just gonna. I'll see you
Right,
there.
right. This is probably be the best way for both of us.
Right.
So
Exactly.
yeah, so they So yeah, they go their separate ways. Dougie ends up running into something, so he has to go the other way. He gets into this car and he's telling the car to drive off. When he tells the car to drive off, then we see that the driver is the bartender, but the bartender is a
She's all
demon.
messed up. Yeah, his
Yeah,
teeth are all.
yeah, he's actually a demon. So then there's something in the back seat with Dougie,
I think that's
and
supposed to be her.
it was something.
Yeah, because the
Yeah.
way she looks later on,
Mm-hmm.
I think that's supposed to be her.
Yeah. Yeah. You're probably right. You're probably right. So yeah. So we only can assume what happened in that car, because we don't see it. But then we cut to Kay going back home. So Kay gets back home and he is completely shook. So which is realistic. So he opens up the door and he's peeking through and he's like in his kung fu stance and he's doing all of this because he is completely shook. He doesn't know who's in here or anything, if anybody's in there. So nobody's in the
Because
apartment.
we have
However,
no idea like what her power set is. Because
right,
she
right,
seems to be able to do things when she's not even around you. Like,
right. And it seems like she's more mental than anything. Yeah. Because she was in Joel's mental.
can
You
make you
know.
see things.
hmm Yeah. So Kay, there's nobody in Kay's apartment. However, his TV is on. He has one of those old school floor model TVs,
Mm-hmm.
and the TV, he sees that there is a person in the TV that looks exactly like him with the exact same clothes on. And that person is telling him to come to the TV. So he's like slowly coming to the TV. And then
Why?
yeah, I would have hauled ass out that apartment. I mean, personally. So, but we wouldn't have this part of the movie if he did what I thought he
And I
should
would be okay with that.
do. Right. But um Kay gets closer and closer to the TV and he touches the screen and gets sucked in. Um,
He
yeah,
gets chewed in.
gets chewed in, I should say.
Yeah.
And then,
He's chewed up by a pair of lips and teeth
yeah,
inside the television.
yeah, and it wasn't gross until they spit back, and that was pretty bad. Ugh, yeah. So, that's Kay.
Sad way to go.
Yeah, that was Kay. R.I.P. to him. So, so then we go back to Joel and the temptress. So Joel is asleep and then he wakes up. Once he wakes up, he's in the bed and next to
And
him
he's
sleeps.
also had another dream that his grandma's had the same dream.
Yes. And so he wakes up and he sees that the temptress is next to him and then he's looking all around at the walls and stuff. And the walls look like the same walls as his house in South Carolina. So he
Yeah, it
sits
looks
up.
like his childhood bedroom. They're
Yes.
like cartoon characters on the walls and
Right,
ABCs
right.
and everything. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. So next thing you know, his father walks in, the preacher walks in and he's like, "You supposed to be dead." And he's like, "But I'm you," and starts, choking him. And then
Like, and then he rolls over in the bed and the temptress isn't even really there.
yeah, the temptress ain't there no more. And then she up, but then the grandma comes in the room. And so then she goes after the grandma and he tries to stop her, but so they're fighting, like him and the temptress are fighting on the bed, and she grabbed his hand and she bent his hand back.
All the way back.
Yeah, and it broke. Oh,
Oh my
it's so
god.
painful. So painful.
Ugh.
So then she picks him up and throws him to the corner, and then is choking the grandma. And while she's choking the grandma, we
Yeah, because
see
grandma showed up. Grandma showed up to the apartment. I
yes,
don't know how she got to the lady's place, but she showed up with a frying pan
yeah, yeah. And
with
then
a
there was
cast
a
iron
Bible,
skillet.
right, right. And then there was a Bible, and then scriptures got read, and then they got rid of the temptress.
Oh, okay. That's how you have described it.
Well, how would you describe it?
Well, the temptress is choking the life out of the grandmother, and she's trying to remind Joel, that there's power in the word. And so Joel remembers this, and he's having flashbacks of his father saying this, and the Bible and the cross are on the floor conveniently, so he's able to like crawl and roll over there. And it takes a minute, man. And grandma
Yeah.
is still alive, but he's able to somehow get the light from behind him to like come through the cross and creates this bigger cross on the temptress, and that turns her into like this bug-eyed demon looking thing, and then she turns into goo, and you just know it has to smell so crazy in there.
Yeah, yeah, you went into a little bit more detail than me. Yeah.
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 And
Yeah.
there was something with Joel's bloodline, like in the Temptress, like she wanted to end that bloodline for some reason, but I'm not quite sure we ever got the
See,
story behind that.
I was thinking it had something to do with him being like a virgin that didn't drink.
No, it had something to do with his father,
Uh,
because she was like, he's the last of that bloodline, that'll be the end of this or whatever. But
mm,
we never really find out what happened, because like she was the reason they even wrecked that car to begin with. But
right.
why she's after his bloodline specifically,
Yeah. Well, maybe
I'm
she was
not
just trying to
sure.
get rid of preachers. I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know. Yeah, that is a great question. That it would be great if somebody were to explain that part, because what made specifically this bloodline important
Right.
that she was after them.
Yeah. Because
You know.
like it even gets to the point where Joel's like, she basically called me to New York.
Hmm. Yeah, yeah. Because that, I mean, that's pretty much what she did. You know.
Mhm.
Um. But yeah, so after after they get rid of her and whatnot, he goes back to his life or whatnot. But then we see that Dougie has taken over.
Which I don't understand how that happened.
It happened in the back of that car.
Is that what it was?
Hmm. And the driver is Kay.
But when
So
did that happen?
so
Because they exploded her. So
but
how?
whatever was in that back, whatever they did in that back seat that we didn't see, that's when that happened. So all I can think of was like maybe the souls got transferred or something like that. I don't know. But it wasn't like your typical kill with those
No,
two.
no.
You know what I mean? So maybe it was a
His
soul transfer. I
his
don't
was
know.
really the only death you didn't see.
Right. Right. It was presumed. Well, I mean, all of them were pretty much presumed.
But
Like,
I mean,
yeah.
all of them were bloody. Like you see them,
Yeah.
like
Right, right. So, but yeah, whatever happened in that back seat is how he became who he is.
Mhm.
And then he had Kay. Now, Kay was a weird killing, so I don't know how that killing would make you the assistant, but hey, stranger things have happened in movies.
Sure.
So so yeah, but yeah, that's what ended up happening. Um So now he's the one getting hit on at the bar every night. He's gonna be
Mhm.
taking women home and killing them every night, every morning. So yeah. Um the person that played Joel, that's James Bond the third, and he not only acted in it, but he's the writer, producer, and director.
Mhm.
So yeah.
He dedicated the movie to his father and grandfather.
Yeah, who both had passed on by the time
Yeah,
this movie came out. That
and
was
said,
like,
I'm the only one left." Oh, like, "Oh,
yeah, right. That was pretty wild. And then their name is James Bond.
mhm.
So yeah. So that is Death by Temptation. What were your thoughts on it?
I really liked it.
Did you?
I liked it a lot.
Yeah. Well, I like that you liked it because normally you don't like my suggestions. Yeah.
No, I really liked it. It's a different story, different kind of mythology, uh, different. I like I like the way it's shot. Again, like they use their sets in inventive ways, so you can kind of blend dream spaces and things like that. The character makeup and stuff was really cool. Um, Very dramatic lighting. I loved it. I thought it was really cool. Really
Yeah.
good spooky season movie. And I'm like, why isn't this? Nobody ever talks about this movie. I don't understand.
No, no, they don't. They really don't. And I did see that there is a fan page on Instagram, but they don't really um post about it. They
Mhm.
don't really post anything. Um and then also I've noticed that like when I do mention this movie to people, they're like, I don't know what you're talking about.
Yeah.
And I distinctively remember watching this movie as a kid. And there was no reason why I should have been watching this movie as a kid. But I do remember watching this movie as a kid. Watch it on TV. Um, one of them channels, probably HBO.
Mm-hmm.
You know, but yeah, yeah, I do remember. But yeah, I haven't seen it since then. So, and I'm talking
Yeah.
about
I
like
like it's.
elementary.
Oh
Like,
wow. Oh my God.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
I would not be allowed. That'd probably be for the best for me.
yeah, yeah.
But yeah, I mean, the movie's also very funny. Um, Hardison is super charming.
He is, and
Yeah.
we forget how good of an actor he is.
Hmm.
You know what I'm saying? Because like I like those scenes, like you said earlier. I like those scenes with Joel. You know, especially when that scene when he was explaining how smitten he was with this girl
Hmm.
that he met. Like that was pretty cool. It was like somebody's talking to you in real life about somebody they met. You know,
Yeah.
it was like it's kind of like he pulled that from something. You know, maybe that's
Yeah.
how he felt when he met Shantae Moore. I don't know,
Yeah. No,
but
I liked it. They're very different characters. They have different priorities and beliefs, even though they both went to some sort of religious school.
hmm
Um, but I like the way they relate to each other, and ask questions about each other. Get curious, and like they're so happy to be around each other, and it's just so nice.
hmm yeah. Yeah, I liked it. I like their dynamic as well.
Mhm.
You know. So yeah. Could you see this being remade?
Absolutely.
Yeah. I could as well.
I
And
could see
I
it
would
being
enjoy
like
that.
even like a series, like a limited series kind of thing.
Mm, I like that idea. I like that idea. Um it would be great like if somebody were to revisit this. Um I would say Jordan Peele, but as a producer, not as a director.
Hmm. I would give it to Nia DaCosta for directing.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I liked the new Candyman.
hmm Yeah. Like he was a producer on the
Hmm.
King. So yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, if somebody maybe need to put a bug in their ear, say, hey, why don't y'all revisit this?
Yes,
So because it was really good.
it was. There are very clear, distinct characters, and
Hmm. Yeah, yeah. They just maybe need to iron out a couple of things, like
yeah,
the whole why is she targeting this family specifically?
right, right. Why is
Yeah.
she targeting the family specifically?
Yeah. And what exactly is she?
Right. And, what exactly is she? What are her power sets? Because like we understand she's a demon, temptation demon, but like, is there a reason why she's there? Like,
Yeah,
how does that
right.
work? Could you even, dispatch her if you wanted to, or
Mm-hmm.
what's the motivation for her? That's why
Right.
I would say like a mini series, so you
Mm-hmm.
can dig a little bit more into the characters.
Yeah, yeah. And if it was a mini series, I would appreciate it being on AMC.
Mm,
AMC would do it justice.
yeah, they're
Or
doing a really
six.
good job right now.
Yeah,
So
yeah. So yeah. So we have our rating system. We have one movie real trash AF, two it exists, three entertaining, four great, five a true classic. Maria, what say you?
I would give it a 5.
Five.
Mhm.
Yeah, I like that. Yeah. Yeah. Um, I would probably give it a four. And I would say that because of the things that need to be ironed out. A couple of things
Mhm.
that need to be ironed out. But other than that, like, because, like everything from the acting to the story, to the way it was shot on down, like everything else was dope.
Mhm.
Just iron out those couple of things and not make the blood so red.
I didn't mind that. I thought that was fun. Honestly,
Yeah. Yeah.
I don't really need it to be realistic to get the point. Like,
Well, no, but it was just like, oh gosh, like,
oh, that was so fun to
yeah,
me though. But it was part of the charm for me.
yeah, yeah, yeah. So that's what I would give it. But yeah, but that is Death by Temptation. So what are we watching next week?
Ex Machina.
Okay, I have never seen that.
So it's on
Is that
HBO. Well, it's on Max.
Max? Okay, is that a A24 film?
It is an A24 film.
Okay, let's see.
I haven't seen that one either, but I always wanted to. So now's the
Yeah.
time.
Okay. Okay, and it came out in 14. Okay. Cool. It has 92% on Rotten Tomatoes.
Yep, I've heard a lot of things about it. So
Okay. Yeah. Yeah, I remember hearing it, but I haven't heard anything good, bad, or indifferent. So, but yeah, so that's what we will be watching next time. So, Maria, where can we find you?
you can find me online anywhere if I'm there. I'm at Valor More Dollars. That's VALARMOR Dollars. I'm also on another podcast called Nerdgasm Noir. It's 5 Black ladies talking about nerdy, geeky, pop culture, tech things. So you can come join us over there too. And where can I find you, Lindsay?
You can find me everywhere at L_Renell. And also on my other podcast as well, the Ish We Talk. That's me and my cousins talking about hot topics.
What y'all
So
talk about?
So this last episode, we talked about the whole Keith Lee situation.
Oh my God. Why did I even ask?
Yeah, yeah, that has taken over for the past
You're
week.
telling me
Yeah, so
it's been
please
on the
stay
local
away.
news. It's been in Rolling Stone. Like,
It's been on CNN. Like
yes.
it was everywhere. I'm like,
Hmm.
but I mean, he's out here doing the Lord's work, and I don't understand why people have a problem with
I
him.
don't either.
Like,
He didn't do
yeah,
anything but talk about what his experience was.
yeah, I didn't realize it was that bad, but I haven't
It
been
really
down.
just depends on where, like, the kind of places you're going to. You know,
Uh,
like Atlanta has a lot of celebrity and culture, right? Celebrity
yeah.
kind of focused culture. and you also get like a lot of people who want to be capitalists,
Mm-hmm.
So you get together and they own a business, and a lot of business owners aren't the greatest people. They're not particularly smart. Everybody's had a job that where they hated the boss, or
Right. Right.
things seem whack, and these are the same people who run these businesses. So
Right.
it just depends on where you go, because if he had gone to, because he went to a few other places that he actually liked. So
Yes.
there was, and they were like really near each other in near College Park and everything. And so there are still places like around that you can go to. It's not hard to get good food and good service. It's just that some of the places that he went to are those kind of places where they feel kind of entitled, basically.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's some bull. That's some
Yeah.
shit bull.
Well, they're
Yeah.
focused a little bit more on aesthetics and actual food, and definitely not focused on actual customer service. And
Right.
another thing is, like, most businesses and companies don't really treat customer service as a skill set or a strength. And they
Mm-hmm.
just kind of think anybody can do it, and they're just going to pay you minimum wage to do it. And yeah, you're not really going to get the best customer service that way. So,
Nope. You're
yeah,
gonna get the opposite.
yeah,
You know. And yeah, the owner of the Real Milk and Honey, he sounds like he's a complete douche.
yeah. I mean, that response was crazy. There was
Yeah, he's been doing like a few things. There was one interview he did where he actually said, "You don't come for the customer service, you come for the food." What?
that's wild.
Like I would
Um,
never give you a dime if that's how you're thinking.
exactly. And
You
can
know?
you imagine how he's treating his employees if that's the way he talks?
Right, right. So, and like I said on our show yesterday, I just was like, I look out for two things. I look out for my good customer service and my pockets.
Mhm.
So if you have horrible customer service, or if you're charging out the ass, I don't care that you're a black business. I'm not gonna patronize.
Yeah.
And
No.
that's the thing. That's the thing. Like folks want to lean on that, but then in the same breath, black people and their businesses unfortunately are known for having bad customer service. And
Here's the thing. It's confirmation bias. There's a lot of anti-blackness going around this conversation, or like
mhm,
around the whole Keith Lee thing. And like because you have restaurants and like kind of like hookah bars and stuff like that will have like all these rules about
yeah,
what you can
same,
wear and all this kind of stuff, and that itself is anti-black.
right,
But then you'll also have people who are like, every time I go to a black-owned business, it's always bad customer service, and that's not true. You also
not
had bad
true,
customer service in other places as well, and that is
right,
also anti-black. And then, you have the people who are making these businesses coming in feeling like I'm entitled to this black money, but I don't really need to treat customer service is not really a priority. That is also anti-black.
right, right. It's a lot that goes into it,
It's a
but
lot.
it's just like I'm not gonna give you my money if you got bad customer service, whether you
Exactly.
white, black, in between. I don't
Exactly.
care. But it's, I mean, we have that here. Like you run into people that they're not in it for the craft, they're in it for capitalism. You know what I'm
Mm-hmm.
saying? They're in it for the money. They don't care about customer service or anything like that. And they feel like they can treat you any old kind of way or talk to you in any old kind of way. And you don't have to be like rude or cuss me out. Like you can talk in a condescending manner and I'm gonna pick up on that and be like, you know
Right.
what, don't even worry about it. I'm out, you know?
Right. People
Because
know when
I
they're
have,
not wanted.
yeah, yeah. And I have done that, but I've done that with black, white, in between. I don't care, at the end of the day. But these same people want to lean on, oh, but it's a black business, support black business.
You
No,
can't have it both ways. I'm
you
not going
can't.
to support you to make me feel like crap. What?
Right, right. And I'm not gonna support you when you're robbing me.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Like I can probably get the same thing down the street at Sally's store for $10 less, or they may have coupons or have a percentage off and have sales like they don't want to do that in black businesses. Like at least if stereotypically they don't want to do it. But
Yeah. But again, I feel like a lot of that sometimes is confirmation bias because, like, I've been to so many black businesses where everything was just fine, like
yeah,
unremarkable,
yeah,
which is great. I'm not really asking
right,
for, it doesn't have to be a superstar amazing experience, but like
right,
unremarkable is most common. Yeah.
I would be okay if I
yeah.
come in without incident.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I would be okay with that. But you're right. Like you can have some black businesses where the customer service is stellar. You know what I'm saying? It's
Mm-hmm.
like you talking to your cousin, and then you have some where they don't give a damn,
Right.
So if you don't give a damn, we don't give a fuck. So
Right. I'll find somewhere else. I'll get
right.
somebody else to do it. Like,
I don't need this at all. Like
mm-mm.
so, but yeah. Yeah, so yeah, we talked about that. So yeah. But yeah, so this was episode 40 of Roomies Review the Movies. And we will see you guys next time for episode 41.
Yes, for Ex
Bye.
Machina. Bye.
Bye.